Okay, so what was the second type of collision that we had?
Elastic collision.
No, we already talked about that one, but what was the other type of collision that we could have?
Inelastic.
Inelastic. In other words, think of silly putty hitting the wall and it kind of sticks. Now, inelastic collision is where things stick together. Well, when we talked about conservation of momentum, what we were really talking about is what happens before two things collide and what happens after two things collide with each other. And conservation of momentum simply means that when the two things, however much momentum those two things have before they collide, they better have the exact same amount of momentum after they collide. Okay? So when they collide and they're heading in exactly opposite directions and they have exact same mass, same speed, but they're heading in different directions, what is the total momentum of those two things?
0.
That's right, it's 0. Because they're heading in opposite directions. And if they collide and they bounce off each other, well, how are they going to bounce off each other? If you've got 0 momentum before and you need 0 momentum after they collide with each other, how can you do that?
You can
So they collide and do what? If they're bouncing off each other, we know they're going to collide and then start moving away from each other. How are they going to move away from each other if you want 0 momentum?
the same speed.
That's right, the same speed, exactly. Again, think of two teams playing tug of war. They're just as strong as each other. They pull on the rope just as hard. The center of the rope does what?
The center of the rope doesn't move.
That's right, it doesn't move, okay? So just remember that, conservation of momentum, and you saw that in your collision cars. When the two cars are going to stick together, they come together, they stick, and then you just stop. So that the momentum after they collide is 0. In the other case, they bounce off each other and head off in opposite directions. Again, so that the total momentum is 0 afterwards. Okay. Today's class is a fun one. We're going to learn a little bit about some of the cool engineering things we can use to make things spin and make things spin in different directions. Okay? Let's say I've got a motor and the output of the motor is spinning in this direction, but you know what? I want a big propeller on top of my model spinning in this direction. Well, there's a way of getting something spinning in this direction from something spinning in this direction, and there's types of gears that you can use to do that. One of them is called a crown gear. And in your model today, you guys are going to actually be using a crown gear, and you're going to see how that works. And there's other things you can do with spinning motion. Let's say I have a case where I want to take something that's moving in a circle and get something else moving kind of in a straight line. Well, there's ways of doing that, and it's very important that you understand those types of ways of doing it, because that's something that actually goes on inside your car. When your car, the part of the engine that makes the car move, that part of the engine actually is going up and down. And we need to somehow change that into motion in a circle so that we can get the wheels spinning. Well, you're going to see on your model today that there's ways that you have for taking up and down motion, or taking spinning motion and making things move up and down. So what I'd like to do is have everyone start building their models, and after you guys get your models built, what I'm going to be doing is coming around and asking you guys, well, gee, how does everything on your model work? Well, how's it all working together? Okay, and that's always a cool thing to do. And with any of the models in our classes, I'd like you to really look at them and then understand how they work. Because once you do that, then maybe you've got an idea for a model and you'll know how to actually make it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.